For 35 years, America has called her the killer teacher. She was not a teacher. She had a Florida State communications degree and a dream of being a news anchor. She did not teach a single class at Winnacunnet High School. She handed out projectors. She volunteered for a freshman drug awareness assembly called Project Self-Esteem. And in the fall of 1989, in that assembly room, she met a 15-year-old freshman named Billy Flynn. Within months, she had used him to execute her husband on an entryway floor of their New Hampshire condo. The world spent 35 years calling her the killer teacher. She was not a teacher. He was not a man. And the story that became the first sensational murder trial in American history, broadcast live, gavel to gavel, was not the story the country thought it was watching. Her name is Pamela Smart. She was born Pamela Wojas in Coral Gables, Florida in 1967. Her family moved to Derry, New Hampshire when she was 13. She finished high school there, took a communications degree at Florida State, and came home in the late 80s. She met Greg Smart over a Christmas break, and they married on May 7, 1989. He was 24. She was 21. He sold life insurance for Metropolitan Life out of Nashua. She had been chasing a television anchor desk. There were no anchor desks in southern New Hampshire, so she took a job at the local school district as director of media services for 11 schools, including Winnacunnet High and Hampton. They bought a condo at 4 Misty Morning Drive in Derry. They adopted a Shih Tzu and named her Halen after Van Halen. The marriage was 11 months old. The surface was perfect. The surface was already cracked. Pamela did not want to hand out projectors. She wanted a camera pointed at her. The anchor desk had not happened. The marriage had not delivered the life she had pictured. Greg was working long hours, money was tight, and Pamela had started spending her volunteer time inside Winnacunnet High School itself. The drug awareness program was called Project Self-Esteem. Every freshman at Winnacunnet was required to attend. That is where she met Billy Flynn. He was 15, quiet, easily impressed. By March of 1990, she had invited him and her 16-year-old intern, Cecelia Pierce, into her condo while Greg was away. They watched the 1986 movie 9.5 Weeks. Pamela took Billy upstairs. She was 22. He was 15. According to his sworn testimony at her trial, she wore a blue negligee that afternoon and stripped for him to Van Halen's Black and Blue. She recreated the Ice Cube scene from the film with him. She sent him love letters. She had him develop explicit photographs of her. She told him she loved him. Within weeks, she told him she needed her husband dead. The reasons she gave were practical. Everything was in Greg's name. A divorce would cost her the condo, the car, the dog, the furniture, and her income. The reason she did not say out loud was a Metropolitan Life policy on Greg's head worth roughly $140,000. She told Flynn that the only way they could be together was if Greg was no longer breathing. When he hesitated, she pulled the one piece of leverage that worked on a 15-year-old. She told him she would leave him. Flynn told the jury later, "I was afraid if I didn't do it, she would leave me, and that would be it." May 1st, 1990, Pamela was at a school board meeting. That was her alibi. Before she left, she did 3 things. She left the basement bulkhead door of the condo unlocked. She told Flynn to put Halen the dog in the basement first so the dog would not be traumatized, and she told him exactly what to take so the scene would look like a burglary. Flynn, 15, and Patrick Randall, 16, walked through that unlocked basement door. Their 17-year-old friend, Vance Latime Jr., waited outside in the car. Their 18-year-old friend, Raymond Fowler, waited with him. The boys locked the dog in the basement. They ransacked the condo. They stacked the stereo speakers by the front door like burglars in a hurry. They put Pamela's jewelry in a pillowcase. Then they waited. Greg Smart came home, turned on the foyer light, and called for the dog. Randall grabbed him. He forced him to his knees in the entryway. He held a knife to his throat. He demanded the wedding ring. Greg refused. He said, "My wife would kill me." Flynn placed a .38 caliber Charter Arms revolver behind Greg's head. The gun belonged to Vance Latime Sr. Flynn said, "God forgive me." He fired once. The hollow point round entered the back of Greg Smart's skull. He was dead before his body finished falling. Pamela returned home from her school board meeting around 10:15. She did not call 911. She ran to a neighbor's door screaming. The neighbors called police. By the next morning, she was on the local news, composed, articulate, the grieving 22-year-old widow telling reporters her husband had been the target of a botched home invasion. She wore black. She did interview after interview. She was finally in the way that she had always pictured it on television. The investigators were not buying it. The stereo equipment was stacked by the door, not taken. The dog had been locked away cleanly. Greg Smart's wedding ring was still on his hand. On June 9, 1990, Raymond Fowler, the fourth boy in the car, told a friend named Ralph Welch what they had done. Welch lived with the Latime family. He pushed Latime Jr. and Randall until Randall described the murder in detail. The next morning, June 10th, Welch told Vance Latime Sr. Sr. opened his bedroom dresser, found his .38 had been taken and quietly returned, and drove the gun straight to the Seabrook police station. Ballistics matched it to the bullet pulled from Greg Smart's head. On June 11th, police arrested Billy Flynn, Patrick Randall, and Vance Latime Jr. On June 14th, Cecelia Pierce was warned she could face hindering prosecution. She gave detectives a videotaped statement. Then she agreed to wear a wire. Between June 19th and July 13th, Pierce recorded phone calls and 2 face-to-face conversations with Pamela. On those tapes, Pamela said, "I'm afraid one day you're going to come in here and you're going to be wired by the police and I'm going to be busted." She also said, "If you tell the truth, you're going to have to send Bill, you're going to have to send Pete, you're going to have to send JR, and you're going to have to send me to the slammer." And when Cecelia said, if Raymond hadn't run his mouth off, this would have been the perfect murder, Pamela responded with one word: right. On August 1st, 1990, Detective Daniel Pelletier walked into Pamela's office at the school district. He told her, "I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is we've solved the murder of your husband. The bad news is you're under arrest." On March 4th, 1991, her trial opened at Rockingham County Superior Court in Exeter before Judge Douglas Gray. WMUR Channel 9 in Manchester preempted its daytime programming and broadcast the trial gavel to gavel. It was the first time in American history that a sensational murder trial was carried live, every minute of it, into living rooms across the country. Pamela took the stand in her own defense. She admitted the affair, she denied the striptease, she denied the ice cube scene, she denied the plot. The jury heard the boys, the jury heard the tapes. On March 22, 1991, after 13 hours of deliberation, the jury found Pamela Smart guilty on all 3 counts: accomplice to first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, witness tampering. Under New Hampshire law, the sentence was mandatory: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Judge Gray had no discretion. Pamela Smart was 23 years old. The case made careers. Joyce Maynard turned it into a 1992 novel called To Die For. Gus Van Sant turned the novel into a 1995 film. Nicole Kidman won a Golden Globe for playing Pamela. Court TV launched 4 months after the verdict and credited the Smart trial as the network's reason for existing. HBO made a documentary about it in 2014. The boys were paroled in stages: Vance Latime in 2005, Raymond Fowler in the years after, Billy Flynn and Patrick Randall walking out of New Hampshire custody together on June 4th, 2015. Flynn was 41. He had spent 25 years in prison for what he did at 15. Pamela is still in a maximum security facility in Bedford Hills, New York. She was transferred there in 1993 for her own safety. She's earned 2 master's degrees. 4 clemency petitions have been denied. In 2022, the governor and executive council took 2 minutes to refuse her a hearing. In May 2025, Governor Kelly Ayotte called her not deserving of one. In January of this year, her attorneys filed 2 new habeas petitions. They're currently pending. For 35 years, the case has been told one way: a woman seducing a boy into murder. In June of 2024, for the first time on camera, Pamela Smart took responsibility for the death of her husband. Her own attorney said she had been incapable until recently of seeing the 15-year-old boy she was sleeping with as a child. The world spent 3 decades calling her the killer teacher. She was not a teacher. He was not a man. The line between woman scorned and adult predator was erased completely by greed.